Yeah, no, it leads nicely into the next kind of topic. So the first post I want to talk about is quite a long one. So the main crux of the post is basically a reply to men who say not all men. So the not all men reply was when um, people were saying men need to change, men need to, basically stop sexually assaulting women. Um, and some men replied saying, well, it's not all men, which I think this is similar to the all lives matter reply in
Yeah.
that it's a fair point. It makes sense. Of course, all lives matter. But it's not really I don't know if it's quite necessary in this conversation. I would
Mhm.
say maybe a good compromise would say if you're going to talk about this issue, say too many men do this, or
Mhm.
this like a lot of men do that. And I think the another fair point is changing the language in which we speak about this. So one example I saw was we shouldn't be saying this is how many women get raped a year. It should be this is how many men rape women. I mean, you're
Mhm.
you're
Yeah.
putting the focus on the women and making them almost like the perpetrator, when in reality this is this is a male issue. But I just think,
Yeah.
yeah, what do you think about the not all men reply?
I mean, I agree with everything you said. It is very, very similar. Well, it really is very similar to the, all lives matter response, and it is quite irrelevant. But I think what's missing in society now is context, and nobody seems to be mindful of the language that they're using. So if you say men and you don't provide context, then that would hint to the other side. So men, that you're saying that all men are like this. Um, I posted something to my story and somebody replied, well, one of my old editors was basically saying when I moved to Glasgow, be really careful next to the river, men are, bloody bastards and I know how they think kind of thing. Um, and someone took kind of offense to that and he was like, I'm more concerned about the fact that he's saying all men are like this. And I was like, fair point, but he is also a male, so he knows exactly how some men think.
Yeah.
But it is the context, it's the words that you use. Some men, you could, but I think you're right in terms of, I was just thinking there when you were saying about how, women, it puts emphasis on women rather than men. I think that does maybe stop victims from speaking out because it's a shame potentially. The shame in society we kind of perpetrate, oh, it's like I said, all the emphasis is on the women. Whereas really, if we maybe flip that around and say, this is how many men rape women, it wouldn't be so much of our issue, if that makes
Mhm.
sense.
Yeah. I think I just don't understand why so many men got so upset about this. I get the not all men point, but I just think people got too emotional about it. Like for me, it's the same with the Black Lives Matter thing. I didn't take offense to Black Lives Matter. I just think, why would I take offense to Black Lives Matter? And it's the same with this issue. Why would I take offense to this? It's just I know that when they say men, I'm not part of that category if they're talking about men who rape or men who
So if
sexually
it
assault.
doesn't,
So why would I take
yeah,
offense to that?
yeah.
It's like you need to. Yeah, it's like the context thing. You just look at this with context. You know that when women are saying men do this, they're not saying all men do this.
Mhm. It makes you think maybe these men have a guilty conscience. Maybe it's not to the
Yeah.
extremity of raping somebody. You would hope
Mm-hmm.
not, but maybe they do have a guilty conscience. Because I mean, lines can be blurred. It's been something I've been thinking about lately. I mean, I had an instance once where, I was with somebody and it took a long, I had to keep saying no, no, I don't want to, no, I don't want to. And you don't really think much of it at the time. And it was actually before all of this, it was about a year ago. I was reading, I think I was just Googling one day as I do and kind of reading up on things. And they were saying, oh, it's coercion. Like, that's what sexual coercion is. If you have to, well, part of it, if you have to say no 10 times over and then you kind of just give up, where are the lines here? So obviously it's not all men, but I'm sure men, a lot of men maybe have a story where they've made a joke to their friends about maybe sexual assault or rape, or maybe, and again, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm sure there is a lot of men there who probably have advocated for behaviour in their friend groups, which really isn't acceptable. And I've seen it with my own eyes, but again, we have to be careful. I mean, the Sarah Everard case was she was murdered. So that's one extreme to another, if that makes sense. And I think we just
Yeah.
have to be very conscious of what the extremes are and deal with them accordingly.